Okay, so my name is Robin, and we are here with my great aunt Esther,
Yes.
who is 90 years old
90 years old,
and
yes.
has had quite an extraordinary life. And we are going to talk to her about her experience during the Holocaust and upbringing. Okay? So the first question I just want to ask, just to get a little background,
Yes.
is for you to describe what your life was like before the Holocaust.
Yes. Yes, I left school. During the vacation, the big vacation in summer in Poland, I wanted to learn Yiddish. And I got a friend whose aunt was in the committee there, and I asked her, please tell your aunt I wanted to be notified or subscribe to the Bais Yaakov.
What is that?
Bais Yaakov, Bet Yaakov is a Yiddish school for girls. Over there I learned how to pray and to write, and for Rosh Hashanah, she asked the children to write a composition. I wrote a composition that inviting my father for Rosh Hashanah. Why not my mother? My father. I was very close to my father. And she gave me a very good mark, a 5. So the children got angry. Why did Esther got a 5 from her composition? Composition, you call it?
Yes.
So she told them, next year, if you will write a composition that she did, you will get a 5 also. And I was 9 years old. And then I belonged to a Zionist movement, youth movement, Hanoar Hatzioni. My kfutza was prachim. Prachim is flowers in Hebrew. And I loved it also. I was very young. I remember a girlfriend took me to the Madrid. So he told her, let her come Wednesday with a notebook. And the game was that we today, till now, know the game. You say bread. So according to this word, you have to find words which are bread, breed, or
Bagel.
Charades?
Bagel.
Oh, bagel.
Yes.
exactly this game till now. And all right, then I was very active. I was very young. We used to have a library, Tarbut, and I used to be there active. I used to be in the library. Whoever brings the book, I had a catalog, and I write down who bring the book, and if somebody asks the book, I look the catalog, whoever has the book, and then I got a ladder to climb up to look for the book, and I loved it, and I used the songs, Hebrew songs, even though we didn't know a word Hebrew, but we.
What did your parents do for a living?
For a living?
Yeah, as a job. What was your dad's
No,
job?
I was young, so I didn't work at this time. But later on,
Your father. What did your father
my
do?
father was in business, milk products, and winter time he used to buy the kind of rabbits in the field in Poland, the hunters, and he used to buy this. And the Polish people come to my father to buy the rabbit for Sunday, for Shabbos. And boy oh boy, I cannot believe myself. I used to go Sunday, knock the door to the lady. Could you sell me the skin of the animal? And they were a Jew man who took this to the place where they courted to make nice the skin of the garbage. No, I don't know garbage in Yiddish. How it's in English, I don't know. This man, I went to the man and I sold it to him.
Now, how many siblings did you have?
Huh?
How many brothers and sisters
Yes.
did you have? How many?
We were in total 11 children. You can explain to her with the first wife.
Well, why don't you explain?
Well,
Because there are
My father
two
used to
mothers.
have the first wife,
right.
Baila, a very great business lady. And there was born Manya, was the oldest.
Oh, okay.
Then was Shiyuduvit, father's father. Then was Heinech, Yaja's husband, Miriam's father. And then was Moshe, 1914 born, with whom I was very, very close. In Baila, that the mother passed away by this child, and she got a name after the mother. Very talented,
No, she died in
very
childbirth.
beautiful.
During childbirth.
The mother.
The mother
The
died.
mother died in childhood.
In childbirth.
Unfortunate. My mother was a niece to Manya's mother. And my grandmother was a sister to Manya's mother. They were two sisters. 6 brothers, 2 sisters. Manya's mother and my grandmother were 2 sisters. So my grandmother says, look, the Aunt Baila doesn't feel well. Maybe you will go to stay with the children. No. So that was my mother. Unfortunate mother, the mother of Baila of Manya passed away, and my mother got to marry my father.
Now,
And then was Manya, Shiyuduvit, Heinech, Moshe, and Baila. Then after my mother, for my mother was Ita, me, Chaya, Laya, Shloima, and Rane, and Yitzchak Yaakov. 6 children.
so 11 altogether.
4,
10.
yes.
4, yes.
4,
10.
11 children.
Now, did you grow, let's stop it. Growing up in your community, did you grow up in an only Jewish community? Do you remember
Was
having
mixed.
non-Jewish friends?
Mixed, yes.
And then
I went to a school. We were only a group Jewish kids. There was a Polish school. And I finished the school. I loved school. When the priest came from 1 hour, the Christian religion, we left. We left for an hour outside. We were a nice group. And we were neighbors with Christians, a mixed neighborhood. But we were brought up Jewish.
how
Tradition and everything.
old, and how old were you when you first remember experiencing any form of anti-Semitism?
I did grow up, was 17 years old when I noticed in the town they didn't allow the Jews to come out to the market. I didn't realize that the situation is so tragic already, but older people than me, they should realize, they should find out, they do understand that the situation is not good. They should leave Poland at this time. They were wealthy Jews who got money, but they didn't left. they didn't left. And then I start to work, and then my father says, no future for me in Alexandrov, in a small town. I should go to Lodz, where Manya and Moshe were living. And there I start to work just with children, babysitting. That's the only thing. I finished school with good marks. I love to learn. And in Lodz, then I was learning a trade because Moshe's wife, Sonia, her brother was a director in a factory, stockings. And she got a good job, earned nice money, and they wanted me to learn this trade in order to get to the factory stockings. But then the war broke out. Then was 1939.
Okay. Tell me what you remember about Kristallnacht.
Yes, of course I remember. His father was arrested by the Nazis in Danzig, and my brother Moshe came. He wanted to go to Danzig to somehow save his brother, his father. My father still got a golden watch from his first wife. He sold it in order to have money to go to Danzig to save. In the meantime, his father was saved by a Polishman who is somehow bring him out from the jail. He was arrested and beaten up. So me and Heinrich and Moshe, his father, came to our town, escaped from Danzig. We were looking for the mayor of the town to find some papers, temporary papers for his father to stay in town. We found the man, we got, Heinrich prepared a present. Heinrich was in business in brushes, so he prepared a nice package for the mayor, and we looked for the mayor in a restaurant, in all kinds of things. We found him, father came. He was a very short time. He went to visit only the grave of his mother in the cemetery, and he left for Lodz. In Lodz, I was also the same time, 1938, I went to Lodz. And father came, he helped. My Mania's first husband was also a tailor. In Poland were separate people who made pants, separate who jackets and vests. This Salek was, and father helped him everything. And
Is this charged? Okay. In case we need. I just have to
yes, and father was, he's
Okay, so Kristallnacht. Some of your family after that decided that they needed to leave.
excuse me?
Some of your family, like
Yes.
David, left. They emigrated. They got they
No,
they-
no, no, not quite. They realized that they had to leave.
Right. So my question to you would be, did you ever, at any point before you were deported, did you realize that you needed to leave? And if so, why did you not leave?
I stay in Poland.
This
in
is after
Lodz.
Kristallnacht she's
Yes,
talking about.
after
In Lodz.
Kristallnacht.
We didn't got, my family didn't leave. They left the town when the war broke out. The Nazis wanted them to leave the town. So my brother Heinrich took my father and family, my mother, and all the children, they left the town. I was in lodge with Manya and her husband, Moshe also. And we didn't get Moshe, the war broke out, so thousands and thousands of people, Jews, left lodge. They wanted to reach to Russia, to go to Russia. And Moshe with his wife, Sonia, left lodge. And me and Manya stay. And then the ghetto.
Did
So
you ever
we
think
did-
about trying to leave before? Did you want to try to leave Poland?
Not at all, no money.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Where to live?
So then you were forced to live in the ghetto.
Absolutely.
And what describe?
His father left. He was always writing to mother letters, and finally he left. And in Danzig, he told the committee that he knows about the Bolivian give visas. So they told him, yes, you could go to Bolivia. So he says, how can I go to Bolivia by myself? I have a wife and a child. If you will not give me for the whole family a visas to go to Bolivia, he used to have papers to go to China.
Shanghai. To Shanghai, China.
Yeah, but he didn't, he refused. I don't know exactly, but he went to Bolivia. 2 weeks before they gave him a visa, he said, if you will not give me a visa, I turn upside down the whole office of you. You have to give me a visa for the whole family. And he left through Germany with a German ship to Argentina. In Argentina, 2 weeks before the war broke out, he was in the high sea. Lucky enough.
Lucky.
Otherwise,
Pause it. 1939, you were forced to live in the Lodge ghetto.
yes.
The lodge.
The
Lodge.
Lodge ghetto.
Yeah.
Lodz.
Loads
Lodge.
ghetto.
Yeah, the
Okay.
name was Litzmannstadt.
Tell us about life in the ghetto.
Oh boy,
Did you go
boy.
to school? Did you work? How did you keep going day to day? What were your fears? What did you think was going to happen?
We couldn't think. We got cuckoo that we were closed in the ghetto. We moved from town with Manya, with the furniture, together to the ghetto. 1940, springtime, they closed totally the ghetto. We cannot move out. Was a too long story, a terrible, terrible life in the ghetto from 1940 till 1944. When they liquidated, they closed the ghetto.
You were in the ghetto for 4 years.
For 4 years with Manya, yes.
Give us a day-to-day existence in the
Was a
ghetto.
terrible hunger. They bring horse meat. So I say, I will rather die, but horse meat? But when we got very, very hungry, we eat horse meat. People used to grow vegetable in the backyard of where we used to live. And hunger was terribly, terribly behind human comprehension. But somehow I did work in the beginning with children. Then my sister Manya helps me a lot. Through a friend, I got a job in a kitchen. In a
the
kitchen.
ghetto?
Before
Or
the
was that-
kitchen, I used to work with a little boy in a family. They used to have a restaurant. Manya, through friends, got me this job. And I worked there a couple of years with them. And then...
Let me ask you, you worked in the ghetto or
In the
outside?
ghetto.
Well, when you said in the ghetto, there were people that hired you who also lived in the ghetto, Jewish
Yeah, they
families?
lived in the ghetto, only in the ghetto.
Okay.
How did they have a restaurant if they didn't have
They
food?
used to have a restaurant before the war, and during the war in the ghetto, Rumkowski give them as a public kitchen that people go there to eat. And it was very, very tragic life, and I don't know how we survive. This Manya's husband, the first husband, got sick, tuberculosis, and passed away. And me and Manya used to run to look for tahriqim.
For what?
What is that?
All right.
No, what is that? Tahriq.
Tahriqim, answer the mess, them teuten Mensch. Tahriqim.
Oh,
Meh.
this is to care for the dead, in other words.
Oh, okay.
Like working for a mortician.
Manya works also in the ghetto with children. The parents were go to work, so they leave in the morning, the
Daycare.
children. Oh boy. Let me tell you, I used to work in the kitchen. There came a little, a lady whom I knew with a little boy. Heartbroken things, what happened to the children. I am heartbroken till now, so many years already. So
the
I
ghetto?
took the child, my soup, I hid in the place there. I took out my soup, I took the child to my lap, and I feed the child. And none of the children survived, I knew. And in the ghetto, 1944, Manya used to go to the viewer, close the ghetto with wires, no, how you call it?
Barbed wire.
Manya used to go there and bring some food from the Polish people. Later on, Manya used to work also, and I used to work all kind of jobs, terrible jobs. I am ashamed to tell you. The job we used to do, take out the dirt from the toilets in a wagon, go further there, outside, in the ghetto, were a big place. Rumkowski, the oldest from the Juden, from the Jews, one day after we did the job with Manya, we will look a shower, you can go a public shower in the street. Next day we didn't go to work because we worked a day before, such a terrible job. So Rumkowski happened that he was come to visit a kitchen across from the house where we used to live. And he saw me, so he says, "You are not at work." I say, "No, I am not at work because I did work yesterday, the job." So, and then all kind of jobs, unloaded coals from a station, and then my friends used to have fields where they grow vegetable. I used to work there also. And today we put the road, beads, the red beads, how you call it?
Beets.
Red
Beets.
The buraki, no.
Beets.
Wat man macht? Borsch.
Beets.
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 Beets. I put them today, tomorrow they bring the soup. I lay down, nobody should see. I took out the meat, clean up a little bit, and eat it with this water soup they bring to work.
Okay. Can you describe the day that you were deported from the ghetto
Yes.
to Auschwitz?
In the ghetto, they brought us to a station. And
When was this? When was this?
1944 in August.
Okay.
And a Nazi pushed a group people in a room and he started to beat them. And then the wagons, the
trains?
the train wait for us. In this time you lose, you went cuckoo, you don't know what's going on. They put you in the wagons. And I went with my friends in the group whom I knew in the ghetto. I worked for the little boy, these parents and 3 sisters. I joined them because Manya used to have a friend who was in the police in the ghetto, and she thought that through him she will have a chance to survive in the ghetto. Manya in the ghetto, her husband passed away. Still I go back to the ghetto. So she says, boy, oh boy, now my husband passed away. Who will work in order to make a living? So I say, Manya, you are talking nonsense. If you believe that we will survive this ghetto, they will, after the war, they will carry you around in a golden carriage and they will say, this won't survive the war. This won't survive the war. Such a terrible, terrible war. And then they pushed us in the wagon, I'm with my friends, and you get cuckoo.
Did you pack anything with you? Did you take anything with you?
Yes, yes. What can you take? A backpack. So everybody wants to know. A window was a little window. Everybody wants to see. We arrived to Auschwitz. And then again you lose the... You don't know to cry or to what to do. You see through the little window people with striped suits.
Yeah.
And the door open to take us out. I took only a comb and a toothbrush, and the rest, they were a group, they called them Canada, who work to take out the people from the train. So they say, you silly people, what for do you need everything? You will go to the chimney like your fathers and sisters. That's what they told us in Auschwitz. The people who were there for years already. What for do you need this everything? You will go right away to the chimney, to the crematorium, like your fathers and your sisters. All right, we came down. No, was full in Auschwitz, no barracks where to go a room. Outside. Before we went, in Auschwitz, they took right and left, separate the children, heartbroken stories, the children, the husbands and the wives, the grandparents. I was at this time 44, no, I was what, 23, 22, 23 years, they undressed us, took us far away. The ocean was 40 kilometers length and 30 kilometers width,
Sorry.
with electric wires. They took us far away, undressed. German came, the Nazis came to check on us if we are still good for work or to the crematorium. No, we stayed outside. August, the sun in Poland was still, nights were cold. Outside, you stay one to another, warming up, that's why. No room where to go inside, so much people. After in the morning, they bring a little coffee, and midday a little water soup, and after a couple of days they organize a transport again to go out from Auschwitz to another camp, Stutthof by Danzig. Stutthof by Danzig I came.
I want to ask, so you were moved from Auschwitz
To Stutthof,
To
to the
Stutthof.
other.
and you were separated from your sister?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so
I
tell
was
us
by
about
myself.
what happened when you were in this new concentration camp, and tell us if there were any special
In
friends.
Auschwitz, they shave our hair and they give us clothing, different clothing and shoes. So by shoes, I say, I will take wooden shoes, like in Holland they wear wooden shoes, because I don't know if they would be a shoemaker or something. Then in the train, when I came to Stuttgart, was no shoes. Somebody made, and I came down in Stuttgart barefoot. Barefoot, and I come in Stuttgart, and I saw a mountain of children's shoes. I say, Rebbeinu Shalom, what happened? What is it? Stuttgart got also a crematorium. In Stuttgart, I was a longer time,
How long were you in Stuttgart?
9 months. In Stuttgart, I was sick, typhus. And Stuttgart was working. They were people working, supervisors. They were from Lithuania, a German woman. And we in Stuttgart were sitting on the earth, on the floor. So she says in German, seid ihr schon im Ganzen vom Gott verlassen? Are you totally abandoned by your God? That's how we look like. What can I tell you? I saw the mountain of children's shoes. I say, Rebbeinu Shalom, what is it? Why? And then between the barracks, they got a big wooden container, big. They bring the soup there. Twice I steal soup. I used to have, I don't know where from, a little dish here hanging. And with this I steal soup twice. I say, what will be, will be. I am also already have that. So, and that's why in Stuttgart, I was with the French, where I worked with a little boy, three sisters, no husbands. And I stay, it's a room where they, next to my barracks was an ambulatorium, no, they bring the sick people there. No, you stay in my block, they give bread, loaf of bread, you have to bring there. to the hospital there. And one day, a lady in this hospital gave me a loaf of bread. Oh boy, I run to the ladies. Pani Anja, Hanna. Oh, I have a bread in Polish. I have a bread. We, 4 of us, finished the bread. They went from Stuttgart, they organized to Königsberg, building an airport. So the 3 sisters, they were chosen. And I went in the line also. My lady who was in the block, the eldest, says, Pieniek, they didn't took you to work? I say, no, they didn't. When they come back, there was a river in el puente, ¿cómo se llama? A bridge. When they come back from work, the Germans, the Nazis, Mina no, authorizing the bridge.
To blow it up.
Yeah, to blow up.
The
They
bridge.
blow up 10,000 women
And these were
disappear in the river.
and these were your 3 friends?
Huh? All of them.
They blew up, the
The
Nazis
bridge,
blew up
the bridge.
Why?
They wanted to get rid of us.
But you were fortunate and you didn't go.
And you,
Yeah, I
she
did.
couldn't believe that you weren't chosen to go work that day.
Yes.
Okay, how did being in the concentration camp and seeing your friends and family die, how did this affect your faith? Did it strengthen your faith, weaken your faith?
I was very indifferent. I wasn't married, no children, nobody but myself. What will be, will be. You was thinking at this time only food.
Survival.
Food.
Food to eat. In Stuttgart, I went, the nights in Stuttgart were very, very dark. I used to go to the toilet. Water was so deep, but I have to go. When I come back, I couldn't find the bed. The bed was wood, just like in a prison. No blanket, no nothing. So people, I couldn't find the bed where from I come. People thought that I come to steal bread from them, and they beat me up.
Oh my God.
I saw in Stuttgart young girls my age couldn't get up. They were a group that laying, waiting for the dead. They couldn't get up. No strength to. A time in Stuttgart that the Germans didn't bring food, nothing. They were afraid they want to get the typhus from us. They didn't come in. I got typhus. And the girls who slept below me says that in the big temperature that I got, I asked my father to pray for me. Zum Telem. The Tata soll zum Telem for me. That's what they told me.
This is because you were...
In Stuttgart.
No, but because you
You
were...
had a fever.
You had a fever and you were
Hallucinating.
hallucinating.
Ja, aber gebeten Tata soll zum Telem for me.
You should say
And
a
when
prayer
I-
for the death. For the
And
dead.
then when I got better, the crisis, the time came when the typhus, I wanted to go down to look for a little bit food. So I fell down. But still I go out to look for, I used to be with friends, very rich girls from before the war and wars, very intelligent, very great families. She was in Stuttgart, and I told her, I knew her, Renia, give me your little dish, maybe I will bring you food. People got, and she made the dish. I couldn't.
What do you
Another
mean,
girlfriend,
what do you mean she made dirty the dish?
Kaki
Oh, she
make, yeah.
she made cock.
Yes.
She
In the dish.
defecated in the dish.
And then another girlfriend from the ghetto says her brother, Cuckoo, her brother is a pilot, he will come and he will save her from there.
Where was Manya? Where was Manya at this time?
Manya was in a different camp altogether.
But in Stuttgart or
Not
next-
in Stuttgart, Ravensbrück.
Okay.
Manya was in Ravensbrück.
And where was that?
In Germany.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's pause it.
About-
How did you avoid, if you were sick, how did you avoid the crematorium?
How I avoid, I don't know. Good angels, probably. I don't know. I was a skeleton. No breast, no meat. I used to be, later on I will tell you. Yes, in Stuttgart was a terrible, terrible thing. No, I didn't think about what will be or what I wanted. Just cuckoo. You sleep 30 women in one room, just on the floor, like this. No. Then after that, 1945, winter time, they organized, they wanted to get rid of us. They didn't care if we starve or die by being frozen from cold. They arranged a march walking.
When this was early 1945. It must have been January or February.
January,
January,
February, just like that.
Because the war ended in May.
Okay.
Yes,
Right, so
I
this is
still was the war.
Right, so you're talking about January 1945?
45, yes.
So they organized the march.
Organize them, they give you a piece of bread, and we start to walk. And one night they put us in a store where the fairs, yeah?
What?
Fair, no,
Horses.
horses.
Okay, the barn.
And I found under a car, under a truck, I found a place where to sleep. Over there they steal my little piece of bread. Still next day from Stuttgart, they bring us to Danzig. And we march in Danzig. In Danzig, they were men working in the port. They saw us, and they understood that they throw potatoes.
Mean potatoes for you to
For you
eat.
to eat?
Huh?
For you to
Yes.
eat?
Yes,
Raw potatoes.
potatoes, some other vegetable. They were prisoners also, like we, but they were working. In Danzig, they were a truck taking who cannot walk anymore. And somehow I climbed there. And there was a lady whom I knew, a family of the people I worked for the boy. And I start to cry. This is my mother. This is my mutter. That is my mutter. To bring her on the truck in order not to walk, to get easy to our next camp. Next camp, we slept again, and next day again.
Why did they take you
Yeah.
from one camp to another? Why? Favus.
To die in the underwear. I was in one place, we were sleeping. I came to one place, it was the wagon, the Germans left. They went to Germany deeper. They were afraid of the Russians. So they left, and they were wagons with horses. And I hide in the back of the wagon. I sit in order not to walk. I sit a little bit, and I come to a place. A German came to me and wanted to take away from me my blanket. Whenever I see a blanket, a gray blanket, I remember the camp. And I start to cry to him, please, in German, please, let it with me, this blanket. That's all I have, only. No, he said, we needed to clean up the church there. I say, please, please, give it back to me. That's all I have, my possession is this blanket. All right. And then we slept in a scheune where they hide the straw. When they,
Straw.
yes, a straw. There, the whole group came. And I was the first one, but I didn't get where to sleep. I was standing there. All right, next day, the people there in the village bring out some pieces, some food.
I think you should stop it. Okay, so if you could tell us how many days you marched
2 weeks.
and what
Until
happened at the end of the
they
march.
Yes, the end of the march, they bring us to another camp. Was a village, Germans, to the camp. Oh,
When was this?
1945,
Yeah,
Still January.
it's still January, February?
February. They bring us to this camp. And over steps, they were a big building. The Gestapo were there. And the people who arranged the trip with us, they marched with us. And we were in barracks down there. They were also prisoners, Italians, French, all kind, and once in a while they throw a piece of bread to us. I got very sick, dysentery. One day, appel, counting. Every day they got to count us. They were afraid that somebody will escape and tell the truth what's going on. I was so sick that I was in the toilet and I didn't come out to the appel. I say, what's going to be, going to be. I cannot go out because my belly. And one day I faint. I faint one day in the appel, and I only could tell them, Baracke 7. Baracke, no.
The barracks?
Barak, yeah.
Is-
number 7.
Oh,
And they
you
should
told
take
them
me
barracks
there.
number 7.
And in the barak, yeah. And they, we were also a couple of months. Till March. From January, from February, March. One night, 10 o'clock, in this camp, an appel. I say, appel? 10 o'clock at night? Something must happen. Why an appel 10 o'clock? Everybody goes out.
By the way, just to make clear,
Is
and
this when you were liberated, are you going to tell us
In
about?
this year.
Okay.
Okay.
Go back. So bring us back to that night in March where
Yes.
they were doing an appel at 10
Yes.
o'clock at night.
The appel, explain in the appel. An appel is like a head count, right? They're counting all the people.
Counting the people.
About
appel.
which people?
No, an
At 10
appel.
o'clock at night.
Oh yes, the appel. I say, something wrong. Boy, oh boy. I say to the girls, you go in the place we were with the horses. There
The barn.
were a group, a band, were Lithuanian women, and we were sitting during the day telling a dream and that and that. So I say to the girls, you go because I will not be. My feet, my legs are frozen. I cannot walk anymore. And you go. So some women said, you know what? Let's go to the wooden barracks. There is wood, a little bit warmer. The winter was severe there. Water you can get only 4 o'clock in the morning. I came once a little bit later for water. So was a German there with a iron, what they break the ice.
An ice pack.
And he saw me. He lift up the thing, he wanna hit me. I escaped. So the women, some of them left with the German, organize a march. They leaving the camp. And the other woman says, let's go to the wooden barrack. It's a little bit warmer there. So I went, hardly. And I see some women didn't survive. They're dead in the corner there. In the morning, some people said, who wants to come to the kitchen to peel some potatoes, vegetables? We're going to cook a little bit soup because other people who used to work in the kitchen left with it. In the middle of the night, Gilles came back and says, oh, you know what happened? The Germans is in panic. They are afraid the Russian front is coming near. They ask people for civil particular clothing.
Civilian clothing.
And they are in panic. All right. We were so indifferent at this time. In the morning, we were in the wooden barracks. I got near the door, a skeleton near the door. And I say, close the door, please. It's so cold. All of a sudden, I saw up there near the building soldiers. I knew those are not German soldiers. The soldiers came down. What can I tell you, Robin? We fell to the soldiers' feet.
They were
We
Russian
kissed
soldiers?
Russian soldiers. We kissed the boots of the soldiers, crying and crying. When you are suffering, you cry very easy.
Were the soldiers compassionate?
Yes, yes, very. In the afternoon, some Lithuanian women spoke Russian, so they couldn't believe what they saw, the skeletons there. And after the ice was in the street so high, winter in Poland. So they say to us, whoever has the strength, cross this camp was a house, a German house with 2 pine trees. I envy the dog of this family.
You envied
The dog is better off than I. So the Russian says, whoever has the strength, let's go to the building there. You will excuse me, please. You will excuse me, the lies.
The what? The lice?
The lies were eating us alive. So
Lice.
we went with the Russians to the building there. The Germans left a lot of pork meat, so the Russians said we shouldn't eat it because some people got sick and died
Right.
from overeating the. Some girl says, give me the clothing, and they burn with the lice.
Right.
The lice go on the curtains already. And they burn the clothing on the backyard there. So we went down to the cellars to look for some clothing and to warm up a little bit water to wash a little bit. The Russian bring us food from the kitchen from there.
How many men and women were you
No
with?
men.
How many women were you with? How many women?
9 women
There
were
were
in
9
a
of
group.
you.
And
Okay.
how many soldiers?
Russian soldiers brought food. They bandage. How you say bandage?
Bandage.
My legs
Bandage.
Bandage.
till here. And in a couple of days, some girls found some food to eat. In a couple of days, the Russian says like this: we have this building we gonna keep for the headquarters for the army, and you people we will give to the Germans. They should feed you in order to get strength. They give me to a German family. I was dysentery, so the German woman ground coal to stop my dysentery. No breast, nothing. I used to see my heart. One day, she bring German people to show them what Hitler did, the Nazis did from us. I got so nervous that I told her in German, ihr verfluchte Hitler, I say, machen Sie, dass Sie rauskommen from here. Make that disappear from here. And the Russians, of course, they look for young German girls. They hide under my bed. For 3 weeks I couldn't sleep. Abscesses. When you start to get a little bit better food, abscesses start.
Abscesses.
And I sleep with pillow and couldn't sleep. I looked through the window how the Russian built. In this building they got all kind of machine, apparatus, engineering in the same building. Oh, yeah. Free springtime, the lady
Let's
wants.
start a new one.
Go on.
Continue.
In this camp, yeah, the lady wanted, the German lady, to take me out springtime, a little bit fresh air. They were stepped to go down to the.
This is already in
Farm.
April of 1945,
Yes,
probably, right?
yeah.
April, May.
And I hardly could down, but I couldn't get up. I met the hands, I met the feet. I went up. I didn't get how to sit on the. I didn't get.
Any meat on your tuchus.
And I took it to sit. A Frenchman wanted me to go with him to France. I say, a prisoner also. I say, I cannot go nowhere because I don't know the man. I am not going nowhere. And this has to be operated till they organize a truck to take us to Lauenburg, a big city, to a hospital.
When was
Like-
this? When was this?
Was it around
After the war or?
after the war?
Oh, this is after the
Yes,
war
after
ended.
the war.
This is in May. When the war ended,
Yes, May, June, around that.
1945.
And 1945. And then when they bring me down, a man from the truck to the street, he pressed the one, but this they operated. I was so weak, they put narcosis at this time. Narcosis, no.
Narcotics?
They're narcotics, yeah. They didn't have
didn't have any.
no anesthesia.
And I count only 1, 2. I was so weak that I couldn't count more. 2, I was asleep already. They operated. And I was in the hospital. And through the window, I saw a group of girls who used to be in the same village, in the same camp. And I wanted to go down to tell hello to the lady. I was with her. And the ground was very wet still, springtime. And I sat down. I have a complex of inferiority. I don't like to bother people. And I sat on the ground and I catch a cold, pleuritis, water in my left side. I got sick. And one day, they bring lunch and I cannot breathe anymore. Emergency, they take me to the operation room, and under the ribs, they take out a syringe with yellow water. They bring me back to the room, and I was in the room with a girl I knew from the ghetto. So I say, Hanka, wasn't that better? No, later on I told her that I should die in the hospital rather than come back to lodge. This was after. I was in the hospital, and then the Russian say, where we gonna go? To Germany, to Russia. They were very good to us. I say, no, I am going back to Poland to look family. I'm going back. Twice during the war I lost my period. No,
Sure.
but after I got a little bit better, in the train, yes, they organized, I say I want to go back to Poland, so they organized the train. It was a terrible, terrible thing. People from the south Poland go to north, from the north to the south, from the west to the east. Was a terrible thing. And one day they stopped. They are not going further. I wanted to get to lodge. No, we went down from the train. When will we go? When will we move? So finally they start to move. I come to lodge in the thousands and thousands of people. All of a sudden, a soldier, a boy from my school, from my class, in a uniform, as a soldier.
A Nazi?
No,
Oh, okay.
no Nazis at this time already. He came to me and he says, he recognized me, he says, Pienkówna, Pieniek, Polish, dein brother, your brother came to Alexandrov, look for family. I say, excuse me please, I believe you have a mistake. I don't believe that anybody survived this war. I couldn't believe. My brother Heine came twice to lodge look for us. Look for us. He was liberated. A long story to tell us. He was in the forest, partisan.
The underground.
The underground.
First of all, he was hidden by Yaja's father.
Yaja's father, really, okay. And that's, and Moshe was also in the French underground. Moshe was with the French underground, with Daniel.
Yes. And Heinrich was with the Polish. They should know that he was a Jew. He cooked for the captain. He ironed in the forest.
I was born in, it was called Freistadt Danzig at that time. It's now called Gdansk. It's the city of Danzig in the Polish corridor on the Baltic Sea. We left literally just weeks before the war started. So a special shout out to my dad, because if it weren't for my father, none of this would be happening. Because if it weren't for him to get us out of Europe to Bolivia at that time, just days before the war started, we would not be here. Missy would not be here. My grandchildren wouldn't be here. And I wouldn't be married to my lovely Ellen. In any event, so Missy's my daughter, and my children, Annie, Judah, and Elijah, are students here. You know, I was raised to respect elders, but my first encounter with segregation and bigotry was when I was about 8 years old. When I was here in this country, we got here in 1945, and we were sponsored by cousins in Orlando, Florida, so we were spending our time in Orlando. So I'm on a bus, and at a bus stop, an elderly, frail black lady got onto the bus. And as I was raised to offer my seat to elderly people, I got up to offer her my seat, and she looked at me incredulously and didn't know what was happening, and people around me were aghast at what I had done. And so she just quickly turned around and walked to the back of the bus. Now, that had to be explained to me, because you're not born with hatred or bigotry. We've come a long way, and so I want to bring forth now my experience with my connection with the Reverend Martin Luther King. I am an attorney, and I was working for RCA Records back in 1974, 75, and there was a concert, a memorial concert for Dr. Martin Luther King at the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia. And RCA was sponsoring the concert, and because I was the attorney and head of business affairs running these things, I went down there, and the first evening I met the Coretta King. I'm sitting in her kitchen, and she's telling me all about her husband and Martin Luther King, and it was just a surreal experience sitting there in the kitchen. And what I have to show you is, after we spoke, she gave me two things. She gave me a watch.
In a Ziploc.
No. And around it has a face of Martin Luther King on it, and around the edge it says, "I have a dream." It's just a wonderful thing. And she gave me this book and inscribed it. It says, "To Toby Pianiak, with my special thanks for your support of my husband's ideals, and with warm feelings, Coretta Scott King." So it was just a very, very warm, fabulous experience being there. And then the next day, in the morning, we went to the Ebenezer Baptist Church, where they had a prayer service, and the chorus was singing. It was just a fabulous experience. Then the concert. So that's why am I saying all this? It's because when I talked about hatred being taught, it's the hatred and the bigotry, really, that was the start of the Holocaust. It was the hatred of minorities, whether it was Jews or the Gypsies or the gays, any of the people that the Nazi regime at that time did not consider acceptable, they attacked. So that's why I have the honor of presenting my aunt here, who survived the Holocaust. She is a survivor. I'm a survivor also, but not like this. I'm a survivor because we got out early. This is a lady who survived the Holocaust, and so I have a few questions, obviously, that I will be asking her. So she was born in January 30th, 1921, right?
Exactly.
Exactly, okay. So
I was born, yes. I am 91 years old, and I wish all of you to reach my age, a healthy ones, not to suffer that I did. And I was born in Poland. I went to school there. 1939, the war broke out.
but tell me a little bit.
I was 18 years
all right.
old.
Tell us a little bit about your life before the war. What was
My life before the war, I just tell you, we were a big family. Unfortunate, I am, from 11 children, I am only the one.
The last surviving one.
Yes. And the rest were killed by the German, by the Nazis.
Well, not all. I mean, 5 of them survived.
5 of them survived,
yeah.
but the rest. And I went to school, everything normal. Poor people, of course.
All right, so in 1939, when the war
Broke
out, the invasion, what do you remember of that, of the invasion? What happened at that point?
It was a terrible, terrible thing. The Germans came and they occupied our towns, and there, after a time, they realized that we belonged to a separate group, that the Jews have to go to the ghetto, the Lodz ghetto.
You've all heard of the Warsaw Ghetto. There was also a ghetto in the city of Lodz, which was also a very, very large ghetto. So you were in the Lodz Ghetto, and what was life like there? What did you do in the ghetto?
Was very, very sad, because we were only the Jews there. They closed the ghetto 1940.
But what did you do? How did you
They
live?
have
What did
to
you do?
work. They have to work.
What kind of work?
They have all kind of works. The clothing factories, and once upon a time I worked in a kitchen just peeling the potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
And then going out to the fields to dig the ground to look for all kinds of foods.
This is for people in the ghetto?
Yes, yes. Very, very sad. And I really don't know, I cannot understand how we did survive this everything for so many years. 4 years in the Lodger ghetto.
4 years in the ghetto. So what happened at that after 4 years?
They closed after 4 years.
Yeah, when they closed the ghetto. What?
They closed the ghetto to ship to Auschwitz, Oswiecim, to the concentration camp. And when we wanted to take down from the train the little belongings that we got, so the people who took us down from the train, they say, you cuckoo people, what for do you need this everything? You're going to go to the crematorium anyway, as your mother or your father. And we came to Auschwitz, we lost their mind. We saw what's going on, the people with the straight uniforms. It was very, very sad. And then I wasn't in Auschwitz too long, but they organized a transport again to take us to another concentration camp, Stutthof. And Yad Vashem is the name of Stutthof. Was a very terrible. I came to Stutthof and I saw a mountain of children's shoes. So I said, oh my God, what is it? What is it? Why? And then now I realize they were a crematorium. They bring the children to kill over there, and I saw only the mountain of shoes, children's shoes. And over there I got sick, typhus, and...
Now, was your sister Manya was with you in...
No, I was with my sister, my oldest sister, in the ghetto for 4 years.
Yes.
Her husband died from hunger. And then she says to me, oh my God, my husband passed away. Who will work for me after the war? How will I survive? So I say, Manya, please, Manya, if you think that we're going to survive this ghetto, they're going to carry you around in a golden carriage, and they will say, this won't survive the ghetto. This won't survive. You will not have to work. You will have enough money because they will pay for you, showing people that you survived the ghetto.
All right, but you left for Auschwitz before Manya...
I left before Manya. My sister Manya, Miriam, used to have a friend who was working in the police. So she thought that maybe by any chance she will be able to survive in the ghetto. She was afraid to go to the concentration camp.
What, did you know what the concentration camp was
We
at that
didn't
time?
know, we didn't know at all. But we realized that no mail is coming back. They are making actions, sending out transports with people. So nobody came back. So we realized that something is wrong.
All right, so she didn't want to go to
No,
Auschwitz.
but unfortunately, didn't work out. And after 3 years, after 3 days,
3 days.
after me, she came to Auschwitz.
Did you meet her there?
I didn't meet her. I didn't. Auschwitz was very, very big. They undressed us, the Nazis, and took us to a place to check, naked without clothing.
Naked.
To check naked if we are really can work still or ready for the crematorium. And then in Stutthof was very, very, very bad. Very bad. For over there, I passed all
Now,
the time.
why did they send you to Stutthof?
I didn't ask question why.
No, but you said...
In
you told me-
Auschwitz, they organize a transport and they round up all the people to the train again. What kind of trains? You know the trains they took us. To Stutthof.
No,
I
but
came to
you
Stutthof.
said you think that the reason they sent you to Stutthof is because they were too crowded?
Too crowded in Auschwitz. We did came to Auschwitz 1944. At this time, they don't put any numbers anymore. They were overloaded.
doing the-
They didn't got how to finish with the people. The crematoria couldn't kill so many. They bring from all over, from France, from Germany, from Belgium, from Denmark, from all Europe. They bring to Auschwitz. And that's why they realized they have to take out people to other camps. And that's why they took me to Stutthof. And was terrible, terrible. Huh?
Where was Stutthof?
Stutthof was more than the north, near to Danzig.
Oh, Stutthof was further north. Okay.
On the north, yes.
How long were you in Stuttgart?
Oh, in Stuttgart I was till from 44 September, let's say, till January. They organized the people out from Stuttgart. They give you a piece of bread. Next day, I slept in a place. They stole from the piece of bread. They stole from me also. And then we were marching, walking. At night, we slept in another camp for 2 weeks. Then they bring us the final camp. It was in a German village. There was also a concentration camp. They were Italians and French also in camp over there. They used to throw us a piece of bread from outside. And then
Were the women and men separated in the camp?
separated. We were only women. I was very sick. Every day they asked we should stay on a pail. They count. They were very afraid that anybody escaped from us to tell the story, what the tragedy is with us. They were afraid, so they count every day. I was so sick one day, and I was in the toilet.
Yeah.
So they knock the door. I should come out. I say, anyway, I will die. Either I go to the line, the counting, or in the toilet. Couldn't go out. And I was there till the Russian army came and liberated 1945 in March. They liberated at night in the camp. They organized an appeal. People should come out. So I say, 10 o'clock at night, appeal, something wrong. What happened? So they took the people out. A march. And some women came back and say, oh boy, what happened? The Germans are so afraid that the Russians are coming, and they want to take off the army uniform, the Germans. They want private clothing. And
Civilian clothing, you mean?
some women say, let's go to the wooden barracks. There is a little bit warmer, because we used to be in the barracks, not a barrack, where they used to have horses.
Stables.
So
Stables.
In the stable, we used to sit on the floor. So on the same night, people say, let's go to the wooden barrack. It is a little bit warmer. And when people left to the march, I say to the girls, please, I will not go. My legs are very swollen. I cannot walk. I stay here. And in the morning, I was sitting next to the door. And I say, here even, I don't have peace. Close the door, it's so cold. It was March in Europe, it still was very cold. And I look, and I saw, because the barrack were that a couple of steps were a big building where the Nazis live, the Gestapo, the people who take care of the concentration camp. And I look, and I saw soldiers. They were not German soldiers. And they came down. There in the corner, people died, they couldn't survive anymore. They came down, and some Lithuanian women spoke Russian. They came over to the soldiers, kissed their boots. They kissed the boots of the soldiers who liberated us, 1945. Then the ice was still, the snow, very cold. And they came in the afternoon and say, whoever has the strength to come over, cross the camp, there is a building where the Germans escaped, they left. Let's go to the building there. There is a little bit warmer. So some of them, hardly, I could go walk. I went there, and then the lice, you will excuse me, the lice are eating us alive. So some girls took off the clothing, burned it in the backyard, and we went roaming around the building looking for some clothing, some water, warm water to wash a little bit. And then they say, the Russians say, look, now we have to give you to the people in the village. Each family will take somebody to give you good food to come to the stream. And because we need the building for the headquarters for the army.
This is for the
so
Russians.
So they put all of us to different people in the village, and I was with a German family. Once the lady bring in her neighbors to show I was a skeleton, no breast, no feet, no meat to sit even. She brings in people to show what the Germans did to us. So I was very, very upset. And I told her in German, machen Sie, dass Sie rauskommen von hier mit Ihren verfluchten Hitler. That's what I say. I wasn't afraid because the Russians were taking care of me. So I told her to get out as soon as possible from here with Ihren verfluchten Hitler. And then, yeah. That was the story.
Did you?
Then springtime, she wanted, the lady took me out a little bit for the fresh air. Down I could go down, but up I go with my hands. I could not walk, I could not sit. And little by little, that was the story. And then they organized transport. Who wants to go to Germany? A man offered me, a French man wanted to take me to France. I say, how can I go with a strange man? I don't know. I didn't go. I go back to Poland to look for my family.
So did you go back at that point?
I did very, very bad because the trains were crowded. One night they stopped. They are not going further. So...
Did you have any clothing at that point? They gave you clothing?
They gave me.
What about money?
No money, forget it.
So how do you
got
travel?
Only a little paper that we have free transportation.
Okay.
No money. Mm-hmm. And then I asked, when we gonna move again? I came to Lodz. Crowded, a station, a railroad station. And one man came over to me in a Polish army uniform, and he says, he was in my class in school. He says to me, you know what? Your brother came to look for family in town. I say, I'm sorry. Probably you are mistaken, but I don't believe that anybody survived. I came to Lodz, and I came with a lady. also, both of us, rooming car. I came to the committee, to the organization. Friday they were closed. So I say to her, I go cross the street to the house. Maybe they let us sleep on the stairs there in the corridor. I went and I told her in Polish, please, could we stay the night here to sleep? We don't have where to go. So she threw us out. Throw us out. And then a lady came over to her and said, Oi, what are you doing here? Your brother is in this town. So she says to me, oh yes, I will take the tramvia, the train, and I will go. And Esther, I say, I will not stay by myself. I am by myself. Where do I go? Where do I go? I go with you. And then we went there to the town.
In Lodge?
And we walk and we stay in the front of a bakery. A bakery. Boy, oh boy. A bakery. And then somebody patted at her brother. Oh boy. When the heart is hurt, you cry very easy. They start to cry, and the people of the bakery take us in, and we cry, and we cry, we cry. So the brother says, come home. I have a home, I have a bed, let's go home. And I went with her. I went with her, and then I was so tired. I was so tired that I sleep, no food, nothing. In the morning she said, look, Esther, here I stay with my brother, and you will have to go back to Lodge, to a organization. They like to sleep at night. And they told me where it is. I went back, and in the bus, I going to Lodge, I start to cry bitterly. I cry so much, the Polish people say, why are you crying? Why are you crying? Come with us, come with us. You will live with us and you will work. I say, I have enough of the Polish people. I have enough. No, I have to go back to look for family. I went to the place where it was, where we could sleep. It was in the ghetto. The place I knew. No windows. They stole the windows. No windows, no doors, but a bed. A bed to sleep, and a blanket, and a little a candle with matches and a piece of bread. And people used to come to look for family. They look, and I say, oh boy, even here I don't have peace because so crowded, people come to look. And then Tuesday, I went with a lady friend to look to another street for bread. For bread, we went there also. And then the community, and then a committee where people are looking for family. And I said, you stay in the line. I just come out from the hospital. And I catch a cold, pleuritis, in the hospital. I came out from the hospital. Let me go to the doctor. I went to the doctor. Then I came down. The lines were very long, looking for survivors. I say, I I am positive nobody survived. I will not stay in the line. But by any chance, I spoke to the girl through the little window there. By any chance, you have somebody by name Pieniek? She says, Pieniek? Yes. He lived in Gdańska for 1914 born, my brother. My brother, oh
Moshe?
boy.
Which one, Moshe?
No, then I say to the girl, look, if I would have to walk 24 hours, I will have to go to look for my brother. So she said, I go with you. I came to the building. I look at the wrong door. She says, Esther, this is the door. A lady, my brother used to have a lady who take care of him. She came out and I asked her, is Mr. Pieniek here? She says, yes. She goes to my brother and says, Mr. Pieniek, outside are standing very poor two girls. Should I let them in? They look terrible. The clothing terrible. Outside are standing two poor girls. Should I let them in? My brother says, yes, let them in. This was my brother. You can imagine. You can imagine.
Which one? Which
Oh
brother?
boy, Moshe.
That was Moshe.
Moshe. And he was in bed. And I told him I was at this time 24 years old. I told him, Moshe, we have to sit according to the Jewish religion. After the dead, we sit Shiva. I say to him, Moshe, we have to sit all our life Shiva and put on sacks of our face what we lost, what we suffered, what we were witnessing, what's going on. And then he took me to the doctor, and the doctor said, by good alimentation, she get good food and rest, she will come to the strength. And that's how it was, little by little. Then another brother came to look for us.
That was Heinrich.
Heinrich came twice. And then he took me to a man in a store. He said, look, you are a witness. I came twice to look for. That's my sister. I found them.
This
And
was
that's
also,
the
was this in
story.
Lodz also?
In Lodz.
In Lodz.
In Lodz.
And where did Manya end up?
Manya was in Sweden. She was in a camp also, in terrible camps. There was Prince Bernadotte, a Swedish prince who came with a Red Cross and took out some women from the concentration camp. And my sister was among them. They bring them to Sweden. Mm-hmm. And then in October, my brother came home and said, Esther, Manya is alive in Sweden. Oh boy. Oh. Manya is alive in Sweden. And that's why we know that Manya, she came later from Sweden to Paris. I came also to Paris.
You went to Paris also?
After the war, yes.
Is that where you saw Hanya?
Hanya, Daniel, my cousins in France.
Just for a little bit of history, and you can take a rest.
Yeah.
Our cousin Daniel was a doctor. He lived in Roman, which was in the just outside of Lyon, and he was the head of the French underground in Lyon and Roman during the war. His name was Daniel Pianiak, and he had a clinic for 175 beds, and he continued to practiced medicine. And he has two sons, Bernard and Pierre. Both are doctors, and Daniel passed away, and his sister Hanya, who was a dentist, also a fabulous, fabulous woman.
Very, very difficult in a short time, in a few words, to tell a story which we went through in 6 years, 1939 to 44 to 45. Very difficult. Just a little bit about.
All right, so to bring it home now, my father, David, found you. He found out that you were alive and that Moshe was alive and that Heinrich was alive.
We started to write to
You
your
started to
father.
write. We used to send you packages from
Yes,
the United. We were
yes.
already in the United States, and then he arranged for you and Heinrich both to go to Bolivia.
To Bolivia. Yes.
So you lived in Bolivia.
Your father says we should leave Europe as soon as possible. Manya went to Canada.
She went to Canada.
With Aaron because her husband got family in Canada, and I came to Bolivia with my husband.
Right, and that's where her daughter, my cousin Sylvia.
My daughter was born in La Paz,
in La Paz.
Bolivia. Now she lives in Israel with 3 daughters,
3 daughters, and
married,
and
and
she's
children.
She runs the B&B at Kibbutz Tzorah. If you ever go to Israel, it's a wonderful kibbutz. A kibbutz, she runs the B&B, and she is like my Golda Meir. This is my cousin. She is the most dynamic lady, just like her mother. It's a kibbutz that's right between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, and we were there, right? Anyway, you're a survivor, and that's why we're celebrating freedom.
I don't know.
But you feel free? You feel freedom, though, right?
Yes, that's why I came to America, because I like the freedom.
Okay.
I like democracy, and I like freedom. That's why I like to be in America. I am in America, in New York, 51 years. I don't know, I didn't learn English, no school. Just, I speak Polish, of course. I went to school, Poland. I speak Yiddish because I was born to Yiddish parents. I speak Spanish because I lived in Bolivia. And now a little bit English.
I think on that note, we can say, welcome to America.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. I love to be in America. Thank you.
That was wonderful.
I just want to say,
Thank you.
what the most amazing thing to think is, pre-internet, pre-anything, how people reunite after such an amazing story of separation, and how she found her brother Moshe, by the way, is the man I was named after, my uncle, and my father's mother, Anna, who you didn't hear much about, that's who my daughter was named after, and my father's father is Yeshua David, whose Judah is named after, and how they all reunited, and how I have family in France, I have family in Israel, I had family in Bolivia, and how we're all really close. I'm so close with my cousins in Israel, even though we see each other. Sometimes we see each other every 2 years, but the minute we see each other, it's like this connection that we all have, and how amazing these stories are. And we all have stories like this, and I just want to thank you so much for sharing such painful but amazing memories with my friends, and you know how much I love you.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.